oh, that's hand spun and you jacked it up. Hello and welcome to Mandobug Crafts, episode 84. What's up everybody? My name is Amanda, but you may know me on the internet as Mandobug, and this is my channel here on YouTube where I talk about the things that I'm making. This week I have knitting, spinning, and sewing. So, starting the shot with something I've learned. Oh, polymer clay stuff too, because that's what this is. So last week I shared with you guys that I totally messed up my charms by burning them. And so I set out to the internet to figure out what I was doing wrong, which is probably what I should have done in the first place, right? So in my YouTube search, I stumbled across this channel, and this is kind of like my check it out for the week, because I just like, do you have a YouTube crush on people? I found her channel and I have a YouTube crush on her now. Creative Rachie. She has really good videos about working with polymer clay and even some other similar crafts. And she just presents information in a very clear, understandable way. She has great video. Her voiceover matches the video very well. She does a really good job with her channel, and I watched, what I found was her 20 tips and tricks for working with polymer clay, and I think it was kind of aimed at beginners. And I learned so much information in that short video, and it was so well put together. So I highly recommend, if you want to adventure into working with polymer clay or learn more about it, check out her tips and tricks video, which I'll link below, and also check out her channel. She has some really great stuff, and I've been following a tutorial of hers on how to make French macarons. And I've made some. So I'll kind of talk about what I learned as I show you what I've made. One thing that I think is really cool about her channel is she shares kind of workarounds if you don't exactly have the tool, what you can use instead. How, you don't need a special sculpting tool. You can use a toothpick or a safety pin in certain cases. And one thing she uses to dry her charms when she's glazing them is she literally has a piece of wood with a wire sticking out of it, and she slides the charms onto the wire. And so I built something similar. Well, Josh helped me build it. I mean, not that we really built anything. Like, that makes it sound like I'm going to show you something fancy. This is not fancy whatsoever. So this is what I've been using to hang in and glaze and dry the charms that I'm making. It's just a scrap piece of wood that we had in our scrap wood pile, and then a piece of crafting wire, and I had Josh drill holes where I wanted holes in the wood, just with a screw in and out. So this, I don't want to lose anything, but my wire just comes in and out, so I can easily slide charms on and then put the wire in the holes so they hang. The only thing I wish I would do, that I will probably do differently, is I'll probably put like a wavy shape in this wire so that I don't have to worry about the charms sliding and touching each other while they're still wet. These charms are technically still drying, even though they're not wet to touch. You can touch them, you're not going to leave a fingerprint behind, but the glaze I'm using was recommended by Creative Rachie. It is a polyurethane, and on the can it says to let it sit for 24 hours to be fully cured, isn't the right word, but fully settled. Whoops. And so, I mean, they're not wet, they can touch, it's not going to hurt, but it hasn't been 24 hours. But this is my first batch of macaron stitch markers. So why am I making macaron stitch markers? And I don't think anybody I work with watches the podcast, but if you do, please act surprised when I give these to you. I'm making stitch marker sets for my coworkers for the holidays, and at work we sell these macarons, and I thought it would be really fun to make a 6-pack of stitch markers that are kind of based on the macarons that are our most popular ones that we sell. And also it seemed like an easy beginner sculpt to do, although it's really not that beginner. And I have to say, watching the tutorials, she makes it look way easier than it really is. Yes, I have a long ways to go, but making these is giving me some practice, and I'm pretty happy with how they're turning out. So what have I learned making these macarons? I have learned that one of the tips she shares is using acetone. You can use like a fingernail polish remover that has acetone in it to kind of clean your charm after it's been baked, and that kind of takes off the outermost layer, and so it will smooth out anywhere that you've had fingerprints left behind, and it will take off any dust that happens to get onto your charm, which that's another tip as well, which I think is kind of obvious, but really needed to be hit home for me. You need a clean workstation. It needs to be clean. You can't have dirt. You have to be careful when you're working with multiple colors not to even get the tiniest flecks left behind that get into your clay and will ruin what you're working on. So when I change colors, I wash my hands a lot to make sure there's no transfer in between clay colors. She recommends working on a piece of glass, and I was like, I don't have any glass. But of course she's like, a picture frame you're not using, you can just take the glass from that. Well, I have those, so I do have a small piece of glass, and I put parchment paper underneath it just to kind of help me see, because my table's wooden and I found it difficult to see. It's not quite a solid background, so I put a piece of parchment paper down, I put the glass on top, and I work on the glass. I actually have it here, I just don't know how well you can see it. I'm working on my next set of macarons. So the very first set that I have drying here, that is our salted caramel, which I think is one of our best sellers. And then right now I'm working on our rose raspberry ones. They were light pink on the outside with like a nice deep raspberry red. But this is the glass I'm working on, and I had some sculpting tools that I'd purchased back when I thought I was going to be Face Off from home. Face Off on the Sci-Fi Channel? I totally got super into that show and was gonna sculpt all the things. I bought a small thing of clay and all these sculpting tools and then never did anything with it. So I have like this metal piece that works really good for cutting. She uses a razor blade, and I went and bought some razor blades, but this is safer to have around the kids because it's not razor sharp, but it is sharp enough for cutting, and it's very thin and works for scraping up pieces as you press them into the clay. So yeah, those are just some of the tips that I've learned from watching her video and moving into playing with clay. And I'm really enjoying doing something different, learning something new. Even though I'm not that great at it right now, it's nice to learn to be able to make fun little charms for your knitting. So I have been enjoying that. That is something I've learned and something to go check out. Moving on to finished objects. So I showed you I finished the 12-pack of macarons. I finished the bobble hat from last week. So I showed you the oversized one that was too big. I had to remake it following I did all the math. The math worked. It was maybe a row or two too short, but I mean, it was fine. She was happy with it. So I finished that, gifted it. I don't have it. I don't even think I have a picture, but that's done. And then I also finished the most amazing spinning ever. I love this yarn so much, and my lights are pretty bright, so the closer I get to the lights, the more it's gonna blow out this yarn. And of course my camera I have set to autofocus, so it autofocuses and auto white balances. So if I get too close, it will auto white balance and kind of blow out and change the color of my yarn, and of course my face a little bit. But if I show you back here, this is true to color. This is a Merino bamboo blend from Ewethful Fiber Farm and Mill in Halsey, Oregon. I picked it up at the Vogue Knitting Live Seattle event, and the color hands down, and it's also soft, but the color drew me in. I picked it up. I couldn't put it back. It had to come home with me, even though I was already over budget. So worth it. So worth it. It's just absolutely beautiful. There was not a ratio printed on the card, so I don't know what the bamboo to merino ratio is, but based on my experience spinning merino, and I've spun some bamboo blends, This is I think it's a higher bamboo ratio than merino. I think it's higher on the bamboo end. There's not really any give. Like if I pull, like wool is squishy and you can kind of, there's a little bit of bend to the yarn. This is like solid. it's solid. It does not want to have any give, but it's still really, really soft. So it makes a great fold single because I'm not worried that this yarn is gonna hold well over time. It's really durable, and I think it's gonna be beautiful in my Half Moon Oracle shawl. I'm excited to cast on. I'm on whip down, so casting on is not an option at the moment, but it's exciting to see this finished up and have it ready to go. You probably want to know what weight the yarn is and how much I have. So I have a 2.25 ounce or 64 gram skein with 236 yards, and a 2.1 ounce or 60 gram skein with 220 yards. And I didn't do an official wraps per inch measurement. I just kind of used my tool from Hip Strings and laid my singles in the grooves that they fit in, and in the thinnest spots it fits in the fingering, in the thickest spots it fits in the sport. So it's between a fingering and sport weight yarn. Overall, I would classify it as a heavy fingering slash sport weight, which is going to be fine in the shawl. Luckily gauges aren't super important in shawls. So, and I think looking, it pretty much matches the dark navy singles that I fold that I have ready to go. So I just need to pick one more color and spin it up. I'm thinking white or light gray or dark gray at the moment. But I don't want to rush it, like I said, because I'll just be too excited to cast on, and I don't need to be starting new projects. I need to be finishing old projects. So that's my spinning from Ewethful Fiber Farm. And even though it's going to blow out, let me just show it to you up close so you can see my spinning. I'm happy with the way that it spun. There were different staple lengths between the merino and the bamboo, so it was a little tricky at first to get a consistent spin, but overall it's not bad, it's decent, it works. When I knit it up, I don't think people are going to be like, oh, that's hand spun and you jacked it up. So, I'm happy with it. Other works in progress, I picked up an old spinning project that I was spinning on my spindle. So a couple years ago, I don't remember exactly when, I bought a Nunoco Secret Smorgling box. And I haven't checked. I don't know that Nunoco is still a company. I think Lindsay told me they're not, that it was owned by two people and I think they split ways. But I don't know if one continued on as Nunoco or they became two different things. I should probably look into that. But they'd had these secret Smorgling boxes, which you were guaranteed, X number of roving, X number of bats, but you didn't know what color, what blends, you didn't know exactly what was going to be in your box. And they tried to keep everything in the same family, and they would have these secret Smorgling challenges where you spin up your secret box and knit it into one finished object. And it was such a great thread in their group to see, like, they would share a picture of their box, and then the prep, and then the spin, and then the knit or crochet or the weave even. And it was really cool to see from start to finish what people did with it, because you get such small amounts of fiber. Some people spun it straight, some people blended it either on combs or a carder and made rolags. I mean, people got very creative, and it was really cool to watch and be a part of. Although I didn't participate while it was still actively a thing. And like I said, I haven't checked to see if it's still a thing, but I still have my box. And I had started spinning it. I decided to just spin straight through the colors. I put them in an order. I baggied them up. Let me see if I can show you. I put them in order, I baggied them up, and because it's such a small amount of fiber at a time, I thought it would be a good spindle spin. And but I'm just not as in love with spindle spinning, so I don't work on this as much as I do my wheel projects. But I spun the first one, and I'll show it. I don't know that I ever shared this on the podcast with you guys. So this was, I split it into 3 bags, and I wrote on it dark green to nightshade because each color came with a little sticker, and these were all colors that were offered in their shop in larger quantities, and they have very, very good roving, very good bats. I believe they are a UK, or were a UK based company, but I spun up the first section of it, and I just spun one color till it was gone, joined in a new color, and kept going. So, and I'm doing fold singles. You can tell I'm on this fold single kick because I do a lot of shawl knitting. I really like singles, and as a spinner, you spin the single and you're done. Like, how much more exciting is it than that? There's no plying, there's no extra nothing, and because you don't have to ply it, you're spinning the thickness you want versus spinning half the thickness or a third and then having to double or triple or quadruple spin your final yardage. Spinning, it's so time consuming. Singles. So you can see I over twisted this in some areas, but this has not been, this set, I have not set the twist. I have not set the twist, I have not completely folded yet, I have not washed, thwacked, nothing. This is just spun and hanked up, but it goes from a really nice light purple down into dark purple, and then there's some green, or maybe it went the other direction. I spun this so long ago, I don't even remember. And I haven't counted the yardage yet either. I usually don't do that until after I wash and thwack. Just my process. You don't have to do it that way. It's just how I do it. So that was the first section that I spun up, and now I've started spinning my second bag that I sectioned off, and I'm at a point where I have a lot of the same color, and it's been a while since I've spindle spun, because like I said, I prefer to spin on my wheel. So, you know, I gotta get back into being more consistent on the spindle. I mean, it's not super inconsistent, but it's not super consistent either. But it is spinning up very, very beautiful. This is a bat that was in the box that was mostly white with some darker blues and lighter blues blended in, and I stripped it and pre-drafted it. And so I've been spinning that, and I have a little bit left in this bag, and then, sorry for the crinkling, and then the last colorway that I have before that one's done is this cobweb. So that's like a combed, blended piece of roving in here. Most of the roving comes pre-packaged, and it's this small, and it's just little bits of color, and then you get these bats. And here's my third bag that I still have to spin, and I'll show you kind of what's in there because there's more in there. So I've opened all those little bags, but this wasn't a little bag like that, and it's just a little strip of roving. So you just get a little bit, and they were like gradient packs ish. So that's in the next bag, and I have another blended one that I put in this bag too, but it's really dark, and in the bag you probably won't be able to tell the color, but it's a really, really deep blue with some grays and black, and then another bat. So I think there were 2 bats in my box, and this one's really pretty. Here's the tag. Oh, it's upside down. And so it's like a deep purple, if I maybe back up to get more true to color. It's a deep purple with some fuchsia stripes and some gold fire star, it looks like. And so that's what this was, and I opened it up and stripped it down. And I didn't realize, it will be cool when I knit it up, but this is a lot more fiber than these little chunks of color. So this is going to take up a lot of space in the yarn, but I think it will be fun. Eventually I will knit it into a shawl. Not sure which shawl. It may be something that I just cast on and knit whatever I think will look best in the next color. I don't know. Just do something, make it up as you go, you know, something fun. So yeah, that's what I've been spinning on my spindle. And then I have 2 other works in progress that I've been working on this week. I've been working on the Betwixt blanket cape, and I would say that has gotten a majority of my time. It's a giant blanket cape, so it's a lot of knitting, and there's a lot of needles on my stitches, a lot of stitches on my needles at the moment, so it takes a while to get through a row. I wish that I would have put a progress keeper in, but I think I can give it a good guesstimate of where I was last time I showed it to you guys. I think I was here. I think I was in the middle of the purple, and I've knit through some more purple, and now I'm up into the gray, and I am close to being done. There is just one section of color work and then the border, and I'm done. And in the original pattern, it called for 9 skeins of your main color, and so many people needed a 10th skein that she updated the pattern. And of course this is all based on your gauge, right? So if you matched her gauge exactly, you don't need the 10th ball. But we're all knitting at a larger gauge than she is, and so a lot of people needed the 10th ball. I need the 10th ball. Luckily, my LYS at work, they still had the same die lot, so I lucked out and I got another ball, and so I hopefully will be finishing this week. And just to give you an idea, this is the back, right? I don't even know if I can lift it all at once. This is the back, and there's my neck. So, I mean, I've gotten, let's see if I can stand up. I've gotten almost all the way down the back. That's not accurate. Let me fix this. So awkward to show these big projects. Okay, so your shoulders are supposed to be in the middle of the purple. Here we go. So that's a better idea. It's down here. I'm standing on my chair. But yes. Giant blanket cape shawl. It's this yarn, you guys. This is Haiku Kenzie, and it is a Merino alpaca Angora blend and silk noil blend. It is so soft and so warm because of the alpaca and the Angora. It is amazing. It's the perfect blanket. This is what you want to be wrapped in. If you're going to take the time to knit a blanket, you want it in a yarn like this. It's so massive at this point, and I've been working on it quite a bit. Emily, she'll be like, "Mom, I want to cuddle." I'm like, "Okay, get up here." And I'll wrap her up in the blanket as I'm knitting it, and she just loves it. And it's so funny because at one point she said, "No more knitting, no more knitting," because I would have to shift the blanket around as I was knitting on it, and she just wanted to wrap up and cuddle in it. And I was like, "Well, it's not done, and I have to knit it to finish it." But of course, I don't think she gets that. But yeah, I don't even want to take this off right now. I just want to leave it on. This is what sold me on it in the first place. We had the sample in our store, and I tried it on, and it's got shaping around the neck, so it fits really well on your shoulders. So it's a really good fit, and it's just oversized and comfortable and warm. Like, you put it on, after 2-3 minutes, you're like, I need one of these. So, yes, I'm almost done. It will be done next week. I'm highly certain it will be done next week. The yarn's all caught now. And what I'll probably do is take video, have Josh help me get some video of it, so I don't have to do this awkward trying to show you this massive thing in my craft room. I don't think I've ever talked about it before, but my craft room is probably, I don't know, 10, max 15 feet wide. It's not very wide. My craft room is, Josh is taking out the garbage, 10, 15 feet wide. So, I mean, I can't get any further back from you. The camera is completely against the wall where the window is, and then my bookshelf, I'm touching it. It's right behind me. I can't get any further away from you, so it's the best I can do. That made me totally forget what I was talking about. Bucha. It's been a while since I've drank bucha on the podcast because I normally record in the early morning. I'm still drinking coffee. But today I had a bit of a late start. It's past coffee. I go from coffee to bucha and then water for the rest of the day, sometimes tea or hot chocolate in the evening. This kombucha batch is yum. It tastes like a Starburst. It is, so it's winter, almost winter. Is it winter? it feels like winter to me. We've had snow already. It's winter. But it is frozen fruit that I bought at the store. It's a tropical medley. So it's got mango, papaya, pineapple, strawberry, that family of fruit. And I just blended it with some ginger and put, you know, a couple tablespoons in with my kombucha when I bottled it. And it's, yeah, it's nice and tart and tastes like a Starburst. Did I say I added ginger? I added ginger. I almost add ginger to every batch. But it's really good. Okay, works in progress. I did some sewing. You guys, I don't know why I thought it would be easy to redo this bassinet for my friend. I think sometimes I just bite off more than I can chew, and I think it's easier to make up things than it really is. So, well, and I watched my mom a lot when I was younger. She winged things all the time. And so I was like, well, if she could do it, I could do it. I mean, I think it's going well. I like the way the bassinet is shaping up, but when you wing things and you make things up, there can be times where it takes longer and you duplicate your efforts because you don't really know what you're doing if you don't have the experience, which I don't. So far so good. I am working on the hood though, and I struggled. I thought I threw the original hood away and I just was left with this frame, and I was like, what the heck did they do? And I remembered having to cut the hood out because I couldn't figure out how to get it off. And luckily I found the original hood. Otherwise I don't think I would have made it this far. This is the original hood to the bassinet that I'm working on. I just did not like this was like a Noah's Ark themed, but it's just like outdated, and I don't think it was originally this color. I think it was staying this color over time. We got this bassinet for free, and I think it's just one of those things where people pay it forward. And the bassinet itself is in great shape, but the fabric is worn and outdated, and like it even has a marker on it. There's a marker. So I told my friend, oh yeah, I can redo it. Why? Why did I do that? I mean, I'm having fun, but I just don't know why why do I think like that? Why is that how my brain works? So I realized when I found the hood that the first hood that I attempted to do, I was looking at the frame wrong. I thought the hood went from frame to frame, but the hood goes from frame to edge with an elastic, and the frame that's the middle support. And that's what I was missing, because the original hood, the first hood that I made, was sagging. And I'm like, how do they keep it from getting saggy in the middle? Because I was putting it on wrong. So I found this one, remembered I cut it out. So I had to take pliers to the bassinet to separate the ends, and I don't think I broke it, I hope, because I think it will snap back in, but I haven't tried because I was afraid that if I snapped it back in, it would be really difficult to get it back out again. So we'll see. But I still need to add elastic to the hood that I've made, and because I didn't make my original hood based on this shape, I put it on and I pinned it and I sketched it and I eyeballed it. It has too much slack. So I've re-put the hood on, I've pinned it, and I need to re-alter it a bit to so that it has less slack. I want to add an edging to the front and the elastic to the front and the back, and then I think that's done. After that, I just have to finish the bottom of the cover, and I'm gonna cover the snap areas. I'm just gonna use like Stitch Witch, you know, the fabric stuff. It's like fabric glue that comes in a strip, and you put it in between two layers of fabric and iron it, and it glues the two layers together. I'm just going to glue a layer of fabric over the snaps, and just to hide the old fabric. And so it's not going to be something that you would want to like enter in a competition. It's definitely, if you look up close, there's some areas that could use a little bit of extra work, but from afar it's gonna be exactly what she wanted, and that's all that matters. So I've been working on that, and then I had cut out all the fabric for the diaper bag that I'm going to be making her. It's all sitting in a pile right here. Well, that's a lie. I didn't cut it all out. I spent 3 hours cutting, and I still have some more pieces to cut out. Every single piece of fabric is interfaced. Every single piece. So like I was cutting the side pockets, which I didn't realize there were inside pockets as well. You may have saw this on my Instagram stories. I took a picture and I was like, what? I wrote what on it because eight. You cut 2 exterior, 4 lining, and then, is that right? Two, now I have to do the math, but it's 8 pieces. Yeah. No, that's 6. Whatever. I don't even know at this point, but you had to cut 8 interfacing of a side pocket, even though it looks like there's only 2 side pockets on the outside. You're cutting 2 exterior, 6. I can do math, I swear. 2 exterior fabrics, 6 lining fabrics, and 8 interfacing pieces. So I think it sounds like there's an exterior fabric with a lining pocket on the outside, and then 2 lining pocket, one that will be on the outside and one will be on the inside for 2 inside pockets as well. But each piece is interfaced, which means I'm cutting so much interfacing, so much fabric. And I've thought, like, maybe I should have just cut the exterior and lining and then just ironed it to my interfacing and then cut it out. Would that have been faster? I don't know. It might have been messier. But that is one thing about this pattern. So it's the Belle Swoon Belle baby bag. It doesn't have guidelines for cutting out the fabric, so, or like a schematic for the cutout. I'm used to like Simplicity patterns or McCall's, you know, those kind of patterns. They have a graphic that shows you how to best cut out the pattern pieces on your yard or yard and a half, whatever size fabric you have. So, I mean, it tells you, you know, to cut on the fold and which way the grain should be and stuff, but I was worried about running out of fabric. So far I've been fine, but I am worried about the interfacing, because it's a lot of interfacing and there's a lot of pieces I'm cutting out. So we'll see if I have enough. I hope I have enough. I mean, that's another thing I don't know if I talked about on my videos, is the bag is expensive because of the interfacing. I spent over $30 just on interfacing alone to make this bag, which is nuts. It's nuts. But I'm excited to do this. I've never done anything like this, and I think it's going to make a really nice bag for her. So, and this is a completely gift from me to her, whereas with the bassinet, she paid for the fabric for that. But yeah, that's all I have as far as crafty stuff goes for this week. So thank you for spending time with me, and if you're not interested in the chatty stuff, I will see you next week. But if you are interested, let's chat. I have a lot to talk about because a lot has happened. Oh, I did write down on here, I'm glad I write show notes. I wrote down on here, I have, like, because I'm not casting on with Operation Whip Down, I have all these ideas of things I want to cast on, but I'm not going to, and maybe if I just say it, then that will satisfy that need. But I was watching some podcasts, and people are knitting Christmas socks, and I'm like, oh, I don't knit Christmas socks. I don't have time. I can't cast on. A rule I've set on myself, of course. But if I was gonna cast on Christmas socks, I would want to get red and white self-striping yarn, like a candy cane, and knit skew socks. I want candy cane skew socks. That sounds amazing. So probably not this year, but if I can remember, which hopefully I can, maybe next year that would be really cool to have some self-striping candy cane skew socks. Ideally I'd want them striping the same way, but I wouldn't even mess with the pattern because it's got that freaky origami heel thing that I just like stick to the pattern. It's kind of like driving when it's really bad weather, you're just like gonna follow the road, extreme focus. So yeah, I did want to mention that. But I mean, we had Thanksgiving, so in the US we had Thanksgiving, and that was really fun. Josh and I never have days off together. Like, that's not an exaggeration. Never. I hate to pay for babysitting. I hate to even have to have my kids babysat because I like to spend time with them and I like them to be with us. But, you know, finances. So Josh works 5 days a week. I work 2 days a week. I work his days off. There's almost no time together. The only time we get together are the days that we work less hours. So Josh has 1 half day. I now work half days. So we have 3 half days together. So that's what we get. We get half days together. But Thanksgiving, we both had the day off. And so we got to spend a lot of time together as a family. We went over to my dad's house. Josh deep fried a turkey and I made all the sides, and we just grubbed. We grubbed. And it was yummy, and I ate way too much. Nobody else that was in my Thanksgiving dinner party eats pumpkin pie. Oh, well, Gunner. So I made 2 pies, and I left a pie with Gunner, my brother, and I took an entire pie home, and I ate the entire pie over 5 days. And I ate a whole thing of brownies. I don't really want to get into that, but I've not been eating well. I've been eating a lot of junk food, and the real junk foodie season hasn't even started, so I really need to reel it back. But Thanksgiving was amazing. I hope you all had great Thanksgivings. It's nice to have that time off, spend it with family. Like, we don't even participate in that Black Friday madness. Like, now that I have my bachelor's degree, which I don't technically have it, but I turned in everything for school. It's done. I just have to wait for conferment in February now, and it's amazing. But after going through business school, it makes me really mad about how the consumerism in our country. It makes me really mad. And so I just refuse to participate in the Black Friday and the Cyber Monday. Small Business Saturday, I do like Small Business Saturday, but even this year I didn't participate in that either. I didn't buy anything all weekend. And a lot of you make and dye and have amazing things for sale and had great Small Business Saturday sales. It's very tempting, but I'm really trying to focus on being more conscious about spending. Not only because I'm on a strict budget, but because, I don't know, the consumerism thing is a real issue here in the U.S. It is what I can speak for, at least. So yeah, I didn't mean to talk about that. Moving on. We got our Christmas tree the day after Thanksgiving. So my mother-in-law is friends with the owner of Small Blessings Tree Farm in Enumclaw, and we got to go up there and pick our tree out. And this was my first year ever getting a real tree, ever picking a tree, and it was so cool. It was just a fun experience. They had a little fire going. They have sheep there. She actually has her sheep's wool spun up into yarn, and it's sold at Tolt. So that's really cool. And so we got to see the sheep, which is all my daughter cared about. Emily didn't want to pick a tree out. She wanted to see goats. Instagram stories, right? So I must explain this, I think. So I started following a farm in Enumclaw that has goats, and we were watching their Instagram stories, and they have a little girl, and she brought her goat in the house and read it a story, and it was on the Snapchat stories, and Emily watched it with me, and ever since then, that's all Emily's wanted to do is get a goat and read it bedtime stories. So when we got to the farm, that's all she wanted to do was see the goats, and there weren't any goats there. So she was pretty upset, and then she just kept telling us that she wanted to go home. She's like, go home now, there's no goats. But luckily, there were some horses in the back, that got her excited, and then there were some older girls there, and they played in the leaves, and Emily went nuts for that. She's never played in leaves before, so they would rake up a pile and throw it, and they just had a great time, and after that, then she didn't want to leave. So, but we did. My mother-in-law, they picked out their tree, we picked out our tree, and it was a lot of fun. I wish Josh could have been there with us, but he is a used car salesman, and it was Black Friday, so he couldn't. But we had a lot of fun. Let's see, I had only really one other thing I was going to talk about. So now that school is done, I got paid to go to school. So I served in the military, I signed up for the GI Bill, and basically they pay for your school and they give you a monthly housing allowance. So I was getting, not only was I getting free school, I was also getting money to go to school. And now that that's over, I'm looking to find a way to kind of supplement our income because we were relying on that income. So I've been talking to my mother-in-law, and she has a bunch of friends who are interested in getting their dog's fur spun up into yarn, and I think I'm gonna try my hand at it. Luckily, Kim, who has the Simply Homespun podcast, she has a lot of experience with that, and kindly shared her wisdom with me. And like, Kim, if you're watching, thank you so much. I still really can't express enough how much I truly appreciate you taking the time to talk to me and share your knowledge and experience. I think it's going to save me a lot of grief, but I think that may be something that I kind of venture into on the side for some supplemental income. So I will be very transparent how that goes on the podcast. I will share my experience and what I've learned, and yeah, I'll share all that with you guys as it goes. I'm trying to take the holidays off, though, because it is December. It's full of, all sorts of fun events, and it's really a time to focus on spending time with your loved ones and family and relaxing. And I feel like this year for me has just been go, 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 and I really do want to take a moment to relax. So I told my first customer that I wasn't going to take the order until January. So that won't be for a few more episodes, but I did kind of want to give you guys an insight of what's to come. So that's everything I have. So thank you for spending time with me today. I hope you made some pretty good progress on whatever you are doing. I usually say making, but I know that some people don't always craft while they watch podcasts. Sometimes they're doing chores, sometimes they're doing something else, sometimes they're just relaxing. So I hope you had a good time here with me today, and I hope I see you again. I will be putting up another video again next week, and so until then, guys, happy crafting. Bye!